This is Hidden Killers Week in Review.
A look back at the most prolific stories of the week.
Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
Nothing says welcome home like a hidden body in the basement. It's Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski, featuring former prosecutor and defense attorney Eric Faddis.
It looked like a lovely Long Island home, that Massapequa Park home that Asa Elrup is putting onto the market. Who wouldn't want to live in a home where possibly the Gilgo Beach killer was in the basement torturing victims? Seems like a nice fixer-upper, doesn't it? Joining me to discuss, Eric Faddis, defense attorney, former prosecutor. It's going on the market. I was on Zillow the other day taking a look. There's not many pictures other than like just the Google Earth shot of it. And it stands out like a sore thumb in the neighborhood. I kind of looked around and I'm like, ooh, this really, it does not fit the neighborhood at all. Going up for sale. Are you surprised it's taken Asa this long to get this thing on the market, despite all that we've known and the multiple searches into the home?
You know, I am to a degree. And Tony, just think about the realtor who has to try to sell this to some potential buyer and disclose the realities of what could have gone on there. Asa, the wife, I'm surprised she's been there this long, because those searches, those raids that law enforcement does, they are not keeping things tidy and nice. They are unearthing things within that house and turning it completely upside down. And they've done that several times now. And so I thought she would have gotten out before, because it's a massive effort to just clean up after one of those very extensive searches.
Well, and it seems, she at the beginning complained about how awful it was and how pipes were torn apart, and it took a lot to get the home back into a livable condition, but it looks like they did. And now they're finally going to be coming out of it. Does it say anything to us about their belief in his innocence or guilt if they're going to be selling the house at this point? I know she's still saying she's standing behind him, or at least going to see what the court says. The divorce papers have not been signed, but the filing it's out there, just never really completed yet.
Yeah, she's had a history of not, going along with the government's narrative and sort of standing by her man, at least in a sort of halfway measure. It's a little hard to interpret. I think that she's probably just done at this point, and the family is just done. They've been subjected to so much scrutiny, and she hasn't. Thankfully for her, been charged with anything. And so I think that she's this is kind of the time where she's ready to move on. And this is the next step in that process. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see, what they end up taking out of that home, and if anyone actually ends up deciding to live in that home. I'm going to get, if this thing sells, can this thing sell? I guess that's the next question. Or is this a piece of evidence, just like we would say in the Alec Murdaugh case, or I know it's torn down now, but the Kohberger case, that property is gone. Can the government step in here and say, maybe this thing shouldn't sell right now because we still may need to visit it? We're not to any sort of trial yet. Who knows? Maybe they want to take a field trip there with a jury if, in fact, it comes down to that he was doing stuff there.
Yeah, I think the government, you think about a case where there's a vehicle involved, like a motor vehicle theft case or something like that. The government would be likely entitled to sort of ensure that that vehicle did not change hands. Usually that it would be in the impound with the police, and you can't do that with a house. But the same principle applies, that the government can still apply for another search warrant for the house, even if it does sell to somebody else. So I think that in terms of that sale, the buyer's going to have to put on notice of this potential defects and liabilities, meaning the government might come in and completely do an unearthing search of this house if you buy it. So be careful. On top of that, like you said, there could be a jury visit once we get to the time of trial. So if there is a new buyer, they might not be completely removed from this whole thing until it's over, which could be years.
Is there anything right now stopping Asa if she wanted to, completely redo the basement? Like if you just literally rip it out, get rid of everything, anything that could be there as evidence, it's gone, and now you have a bunch of shiplap up, and everybody's happy watching HGTV in the basement.
I don't think there is anything preventing her from doing that. I think she could probably do that. Now, the prosecution, I suppose, could file for an emergency protective order to preserve evidence or something like that, or prevent the character of evidence from being substantially changed. But I'm not sure the government would do that. And I think that she could make changes to that house, and what could be lost during those changes. On the other hand, if she moves out and the government gets another search warrant, like you said, what could be found in there, inside the walls, underneath the floors? We just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering how much they already have, if they've already pretty much done their search and there's nothing more to be had. We really don't know if they ripped out walls or anything. But if they haven't, and that's still more potential things that could actually be lingering in that house. And that's a creepy thing to think about.
Yeah, if it goes on the market, I'm not interested, man.
No. Welcome to the podcast. If you'd like to listen to an ad-free version of this episode and all of our episodes, then search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. That's our premium channel where all of our ad-free and advanced episodes live, all in one place. True Crime Today Premium Plus. Search it on Apple Podcasts and press subscribe. Even try it for 3 days free.
You're neck deep in a dark, twisted tale, and just as the tension peaks, bam, a commercial about some miracle diet pill breaks the spell. It's like finding a fly in your soup after the first bite. But here's the fix. True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. You get to enjoy your crime stories without the junk. Ad-free episodes, extended interviews that go beyond the surface, and early access to all the gruesome details. It's like swapping out a can of cheap beer for a glass of fine whiskey. So search for True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe and keep the darkness flowing uninterrupted.